Hi, and welcome to Lads with Game. My name's Chris,
And my name's Daniel.
and welcome back to our post-match reaction to the Newcastle Everton game. Thanks for joining us. Smash that like button, let us know you're enjoying the content, and also subscribe if you're new here. Don't forget to subscribe. This will make sure that you're aware whenever we go live. Dan, talk us through what your reaction is to Newcastle winning 2-1. I mean, it
Well,
seems like a good result for Newcastle.
well, fabulous result for Newcastle. I mean, absolutely delighted. Um, I wasn't expecting the win today, um, but what a result for us. The Newcastle I wanted to see was the Newcastle that came out today. They were defensively solid, sound. Seemed to look like they had a game plan, and they executed the game plan to a T.
Super. Who were the standout players for you? Who would you have as man of the match, Dan?
For man of the match. I'm gonna go. I mean, it's easy to say Wilson because of he was the goal scorer, the two goals. But um, I'm gonna say Alberon for me.
Yeah, I mean,
His work ethic was.
he did have bags of energy today, didn't he? I mean, he covered so much ground, for a large percentage of the game, didn't he?
I mean, yeah, the energy he brings to the team, the ground he covers, the defensive work he does going forward as well. Um, yeah, he was brilliant. He came off, I know, got substituted off about 70 minutes through, I think. I think he got about 70 minutes at least, I think. Um, yeah, for me, he is the man of the match. I mean, I know Wilson got the two goals and deserved the two goals, in all honesty. Penalty was well taken. I thought he was going to go to the right. Um, I did notice that that was the only penalty he's missed this season was to the right, and I thought he's going to go right and it was going to be saved. But thankfully, keeper dived the wrong way and it's gone straight in. Well taken goal there. And the second one was Fraser was through, and actually he came on for who did he? He came on for St Maximin, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Um, and it was a burst of pace down that flank, got in front of his defender, and then it just hit the defender's foot, got over the keeper. And, Wilson, like I said before, typical number 9 happens to be in and around the box, just in the right place at the right time, just to tap it in.
Yeah, do you actually believe that that was a penalty? I'm not so sure. Let me know what you think, Dan.
Yeah, it was 100% a penalty. Yeah, there's no denying it. The fact that they used the VAR and the penalty was given as a penalty, so I mean that says it all, really. I think.
Super. Okay, Dan. Where do you think it all went wrong for Everton today then? Because it's back-to-back losses now for Everton. And I think it's the first time under Ancelotti that they've lost two on the bounce in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's right. First time that's happened, and yeah, I mean, where did it go wrong? I mean, it's hard to say, really. They didn't play a bad game. I just think they were missing their players, their key players, was what cost them, I think. If
Yeah,
they had them players playing, yeah, I don't think it would have been the same result.
yeah, yeah. So Dan, do you want to talk about ball possession?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was obvious that Everton were going to have the most of possession. I just didn't think they did a lot with it. Most of it was played in their own half. Especially in the first half, they didn't really have much fault going forward. They were playing it around at the back. But going forward, it just didn't really have anything. And I think that was testament to the way Newcastle um, were executing their strategy, which was defensive. We knew they were going to be defensive, but Everton just didn't have that creativity that they needed to break them down.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I kind of feel like they were having some joy with their fullbacks at times, but the final ball just wasn't good enough from an Everton side of things, was it?
No, I think it did change in the last. I'm going to say last 10 minutes. You know, the creativity was much better. They were going forward a lot better. It allowed them to get back into the game towards the end, and they could have even snatched it. Um, yeah, I mean, it was much better, but it was just too little, too late, really.
Yeah, but 2-1. I think Ben, who's in the live stream with us, he mentioned that he thought it was going to be 1-0, and yourself, Dan, you thought it was going to be 2-2.
So I
So,
win.
sorry,
So I win then.
I'm not so sure. I think we'd have
Well,
to say Ben won because at least he said that Newcastle were going to win. But that takes Newcastle up to 10th in the league, and that's pretty good at this stage. I kind of feel 7 games in. What do you think, Dan?
yeah, I mean, seventh in the 10th in the league. Did you say?
10th in the league.
10th
Yeah,
in the league.
7 games played.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I think every Newcastle fan would be happy with that. I'm happy with that. Um, I mean, I would like to see, like most Newcastle fans, I would like to see with that attacking flair that we have, that you know we could play a little bit more attacking. It was much better today. I give them that. I mean, they were much better going forward than I've seen them this season. I think it's probably the best performance I've seen them. Um, they had answers going forward. They had intent going forward, um, which obviously led to their 2 goals.
Yeah. So what do you think their chances are against Southampton? Because I think it's away Southampton on Friday, isn't it? And it's
Um,
great to be going into that game off the back of a win, but I think Southampton did quite well today.
yeah, was it 4-3 in the end?
Yeah, something along those lines. So
Um,
yeah, and both
mm,
teams going in to that game on the back of a win. How do you see that one going? I guess.
I don't know. I'm not seeing Southampton. I'm concerned with the fact they beat Everton and then they've put 4 past Villa today. I think that's rather concerning. It's sort of telling me that they've got plenty of potential going forward. Um, but I'd imagine Newcastle would probably set up the same as they've done this week based on the performance.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce, I think, would probably do the same sort of setup. Could even start the exact same team.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's possible, isn't it?
Yeah, we could be looking at a similar sort of game, to be honest. I think a draw.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So yeah. So just going back to the stats. So Newcastle had 11 attempts on goal and Everton had 15. Both sides having 4 shots on target. So most of the game was sort of played in the middle of the park, wasn't it? And you know, for me that first half, was rather boring. I don't know what your thoughts were, Dan.
Um, yeah, it was a little bit boring. I'll give you that. It was a little bit boring. Um, but it was. I think a lot of it was tactically working each other out, and that's why the middle of the park was congested the way it was with all the possession being there because I don't think either team, the way they were set up, they didn't have that creativity to go on from the middle really to sort of get some attacking through balls and things like this. They didn't really have a lot of options going forward. But that's testament to the way that both teams were set up defensively and the way they were defending. They're both defending really well. So we ended up with this stalemate in the first half, which we saw the one clear-cut opportunity that St Maximin had, which was a great save, um, which could have opened the deadlock there. Um, but all in all, that's what it was. And Newcastle wanted really wanted Everton to come onto them a bit more, so they had more counter attack possibilities, which we saw in the second half because it opened up more in the second half, which allowed more opportunities, and that's what we saw in the second half.
Yeah, so we've got Ellie here asking who played well. So Dan, what are your thoughts? I mean, I felt Newcastle, they played pretty well considering.
Yeah, I think all round as a defensive unit, I mean, they did really well today. I mean, there wasn't really any standout performances. I'd say they were all as a collective very good on the day. I mean, Alberon had some good pace, some good plays, some good little touches. St. Maximum had a couple of little runs, but he wasn't in the game as much as I would have liked. Who else did well? Murphy did well. He did a few bursts of pace and holding up the ball quite well, passing it down the wing. Um, yeah, all round defensively, the middle of the park, Cher, Fernandez, and who else was in the middle? Who else was it? Can't remember who it was. Oh, Lascelles, yeah. Lascelles, Fernandez, and Shah, very good in the middle. Um, Hendrick was much improved. He's had some poor performances. He was good. Longstaff was good as well. I mean, all good. But I think what we should do is rate the players. I mean, should we give them a rating out of 10? Sort of go through and what we think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to do that, Dan. I mean, we've got that office guy, who was man of the match. So I think Callum Wilson was man of the match. But yeah, for me, you know, that there's many players that could have probably got man of the match, and I think we just give it to him just because he got the 2 goals.
Yeah, like I highlighted, Alberon as my man of the match, taking away the goal scorer because it was obvious that the goal scorer would be given it because of the goals. But if you took him out of the equation, I would go with Alberon, to be honest, just with the amount of energy he's got and what he brings to the team defensively and going forward.
Yeah, super. So go on then, Dan. Give us your player ratings for
So
Newcastle.
we'll start with Darlow. Now, the first half, he did a few shaky little things early on. He held onto the ball and nearly embarrassed himself. He then threw the ball out. Did you see that? He threw the ball out and got intercepted by Everton forward.
Yeah,
That could have been bad as well. But his shot stopping was good. I mean, he was in the right place. He had a header. He was in the middle of the goal, straight into his hands from the corner, if I remember rightly. He did some good saves. Tipped it over the bar later on as well.
super. So what's his rating then, Dan?
I'm going to give him a 7.
A 7. Wow.
Just because of the howlers he had at the start, which could have led to Everton having a couple of goals quite easily on a different day.
Yeah.
So I think I'll give him a 7 for that. We'll start with Lewis because I've got negatives to say about Lewis as well. So again, first half, Lewis gave the ball away a couple of times. So I'm going to give him a 7 as well. Fernandez, Lascelles, and Shah, I'm going to give them all a collective 8 just because they were defensively solid. And Murphy, I'm going to give Murphy an 8 as well because he got forward a few times, held the ball up a few times, defensively worked well, a bit like last week really. So I'll give him an 8. Alberon is going to get. I'm going to give him an 8.5 because his work ethic, his touches on the ball, his flair, his work rate, very high. Give him an 8.5. Hendrick, I'm going to give. I think he had a quiet game. He was there. He was there in the middle when we needed him. I'm going to give him a 7. And Longstaff, I'm going to also give him a 7. Although he did have a clear-cut chance and he almost scored. Should have really scored. But I'm going to give him a 7. St. Maximum, I'm going to give him a 7. And Wilson, I'm going to give him a 9.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 9 because of the goals. He's in the right place. It's typical number 9, I would say. I know he doesn't hold the number 9 shirt because Joe Linton holds it, but in my opinion, he is the typical number 9 and he should have the number 9 shirt. And he was typically the number 9 in and around the box in the right places at the right time to get the penalty and score the second goal. So he gets a 9.
All right, perfect. Okay, so you heard it here, everyone. Daniel's scores out of 10, player by player. Amazing.
And should we give the manager a score?
I
No, I think I will. I'm going to give Steve Bruce a 9. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the guy, and I must admit I'm not a fan either. I don't think any Newcastle fans are a fan of him. But tactically, I've got to hand it to him. He got it right. You know, top team in the Premier League comes to St James's. No crowd to back us up, and it's all about the tactics. And got to hand it to him. He got it right.
yeah. I definitely feel that. 2-1 win for Newcastle United over Everton. I don't think there's many that would have been expecting that. With Everton sat second in the Premier League, and Newcastle much further down the table, and with that win, it takes them up to 10th. So yeah, it's a fantastic day at the office for Newcastle, isn't it, today? And hopefully they can sort of go into the next game against Southampton on a high and take that into the game with them, and hopefully that support them and get another victory next week. That would be phenomenal, wouldn't it, Dan?
Oh, if we could get a back-to-back win, I would be speechless, to be honest. But it's like this performance, anyone that watches Newcastle on a regular basis knows that you just don't know what team's going to turn up. And but yeah, it's confidence. A draw and then the win today. So yeah, draw against Wolves, win today against Everton, going in against Southampton. The only negative is Southampton are playing well.
Yeah.
So we're getting them on a high as well.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, fantastic result today, isn't it, Dan? And we'll be looking forward to catching up with everybody next week when we do our pre and post match previews and I guess fan reaction to the match next week. Is there anything else you want to cover off, Dan, before we get going?
I don't think so. I think it's just a all-round great day for Newcastle fans, and we'll all be looking forward to the match against Southampton next week. We've got a better away record than we have a home record, so it's going to definitely be interesting. Both teams on fire, both teams on form, both teams being on a high over the last 2 weeks, both teams having great results. It's going to lead to a good climax with next week's game, I think.
Super. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. We hope you have a fantastic week, and we will see you again next week for Newcastle away against Southampton. If you're new here, don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you're notified whenever we go live, and that could be with transfer updates, news around injuries, that sort of stuff, or it could be pre-match show, and then it could be our post-match reaction to results on the day. So yeah, don't forget to do that, and if you hit the like button if you like the content, that pushes out the content to like-minded others like yourselves, and hopefully we can get a few more Newcastle fans in the show. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.